So, how stable is Theresa May's position now? To discuss this, we're joined by Dawn Foster from The Guardian and also from Guido Fawkes, Tom Harwood. Hello to you both. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. Tom, to you, first of all, how much trouble is she in?
It's clear that Theresa May is probably in the most precarious position that she's been since the last election. What we saw immediately after that election was a lot of plotting, a lot of scheming, but ultimately no one candidate that the party could coalesce around to oust her. And really there's an informal agreement amongst the party that Theresa May will see Brexit through. That has been undermined to a great extent after her Chequers proposals were announced, ones that will severely hamper the UK's ability to do free trade deals, that will hamper our ability to take back full control. And obviously what's going on amongst the more Brexit-minded MPs right now is that they're considering their positions in terms of how to get that proper Brexit. In public, a lot of them are saying that Theresa May should remain as Prime Minister as long as the policy changes. In private, they're not so convinced that the policy will change, and so they're discussing options, as we heard last night.
Dawn?
I think she's weaker than she's ever been. And I think what's really important here is that the ERG, the European Research Group, it wasn't a secret meeting. People went straight to Robert Peston. They went to a lot of journalists and said, we have the knives out and we are going for her. And what's really, really key is that what will happen if they bring these letters in is that she will face a no confidence vote. She will need 158 MPs to vote against her to actually bring her down. And the people who've been, talking about this today, they know almost certainly that the 158 votes won't be forthcoming. So it's very, very clear that the Tories here know that they won't bring her down, but they don't care. It's all about making her seem as weak as possible and really, really attacking the Prime Minister while knowing that she'll be in place until after Brexit. So it's clear that at this point there are a lot of Conservatives who are happy just to show that the party are in complete disarray, just to weaken her further to try and get what they want. And, at this point it's clear that the Conservative MPs, in question aren't really concerned about whether or not they can, show that they're, a party of leadership that will bring this forward. It's all about their individual positions and making sure that May looks as weak as possible as a Prime Minister.
OK, so as weak as possible as the Prime Minister. Well, we can see them lining up, can't we, to take over from her? But it's not as simple as that, is it?
Yeah, what's clear is that the European Research Group, this group of hardline Conservative Brexit voting MPs, they have the numbers to force a leadership ballot. They only need around 50 MPs to force that. They definitely have those numbers. They've got around 80 in their sights. But they don't have the around 160 MPs needed to actually change leadership. So really, they're trying to think of more creative mechanisms in order to pursue the policy, because ultimately, what most of the ERG are saying is that what they want is their full proper Brexit, their Canada plus, their ability to make trade deals around the world, to take back control of regulation, to have regulatory diversion and innovation, all these benefits that can come from Brexit. And they don't really mind who delivers that. The problem is the Prime Minister over the last 2 years has been really quite equivocal on Brexit issues. She hasn't been the strong leader that really you need to take us into a negotiation. And they're trying to push her and bolster her as much as possible in order to take that stronger line with the EU, but that hasn't been forthcoming.
Dawn, your turn.
I think in many ways at this point it looks like the Roman Senate. Everybody is out against each other. The knives are out constantly. Even the pro-Remain MPs aren't behind the Chequers plan. The people who want to Brexit definitely aren't. So she's got this horrific policy that nobody is behind at all and is constantly trying to make out that she really knows what she's doing. She's got everything together and nothing that happens day to day proves that. I mean, today in the European Parliament there was a vote on whether or not to censor Viktor Orban's Hungary because, the far-right policies were really, really horrific towards minorities. And, the Conservative MEPs voted against it, while everybody else voted, across Europe to censure him. him. And when Theresa May was asked why they did that, she said that nobody had asked her directly what the Tories should do. And somebody who was in charge of a party should, A, be able to, for the most part, stop a huge number of their MPs rebelling in Parliament, but also have some idea what they're doing in Europe and elsewhere, that her members are supposed to be representing the British people. And clearly with Theresa May, she doesn't know what's going on in Parliament, she doesn't know what's going on in Europe, and probably at the end of the day she sits at home and wonders why she became Prime Minister in the first place.
I'm sure that's not necessarily true. I'm sure she's very much enjoyed her time, but how much longer do you think she might have? Yes, sir, that's to you.
I think that Theresa May really has, if she continues to push ahead in this blinkered way without taking the words of her backbenchers on board, her days could be numbered. There's an informal agreement amongst Conservatives right now that she should last at least until the 29th of March 2019. However, after Chequers, this is all up in the air. If Chequers gets watered down further, that's when she's certainly on the ropes, and that's when moves will happen. For the moment, there seems to be a bit of balance, but the expectation amongst most MPs is that the EU won't abide Chequers as it is now, and they'll push for things, for example, a more complete customs union rather than facilitated customs partnership. They'll water down what are already incredibly watered down proposals further, and at that point, MPs will have no choice but to install a leader who can actually deliver the Brexit that people voted for. Unless,
of course, Dawn Foster, Jeremy Corbyn gallops to her aid in the House of Commons.
I think that's very unlikely to happen at the moment. I think that Theresa May is really struggling forward. And I agree with Tom entirely. There was an informal arrangement amongst most people, an expectation that Theresa May would last until next party conference, so in 2019. And clearly at this point, her MPs are so unhappy that they've just got the knives out now, because a lot of them are worried that Theresa May is trashing the reputation of the Conservatives so much that she'll do a long-term damage, not just simply, as they hoped, she would drag them past the Brexit deadline, and then they could rejuvenate the party. They're now worried that, that as it stands in the Common, there are going to be multiple defeats, and that the Conservatives could be out of power for a generation.
OK, good to talk to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there, but I'm sure it's a topic that we will return to very soon. Thank you.